Yes, let's try that again. I had some feedback, but it's fixed now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Starladder Season 4 game between the teams 3D Max and Svenhunterz. So we haven't talked about the team Svenhunterz before because they are actually a merged team. They're the team FUBAR merged with the team Evo. So two pretty good teams. I guess it would be fair to call them Tier 2 teams in the Dota scene right now, but pretty good. FUBAR, they're both fully capable of taking games off sort of the best teams in the European scene. So very strong, and then they're facing up against 3D Max, who are a Swedish team, and they've been around sort of a little bit longer. We actually just saw 3D Max play Empire earlier today, and they crushed Empire. So it seems like sort of post DreamHack, post this sort of additional scrims that they sort of added on, I think 3D Max are really picking up some steam and managing to come together as a team and really lift their game up. So in this game, we're going to take a look. Let's take a look and jump right into the draft. They sort of drafted very quickly. What you're sort of seeing in the current metagame is teams are starting to get a better idea of what heroes, especially to ban in this first ban phase. So this is the least interactive portion of the game where you sort of just ban what you don't want to see. And so these four heroes that we see are all extremely common first bans. You got your Bounty Hunter, Undying, Magnus, Batrider. You don't really need to think too much about this. It's not particularly interactive with the other team. And so you can just sort of go very, very quickly on that. So what's interesting is what happens sort of next. So I think Starladder has started mixing up which team gets first pick first. So I think 3D Max actually had the first pick and they secured Darkseer, which is who you sort of want if a lot of these other heroes are taken out. You want the best hero remaining in the pool, and Darkseer is a very good shot at being the best hero remaining after you take out your Magnus, your Batrider, your Bounty Hunter. So they take their Darkseer, and that sort of secures them a potential mid, a potential side lane solo. Just a very strong hero all around because of his crowd control abilities, vacuum, the damage he can deal from a distance with Ion Shells, speed with Surge, and Wall of Replica as a great ultimate. And then in addition, later on in the draft, 3D Max added on the heroes Jakiro and Rubik. So what they basically have now is they have a possible mid in the form of Darkseer to go in the middle. They have, or he could go the side lane solo. And then they have both of their support players already. So in the second phase of the draft, we're more likely to start seeing them get their carry player. So the main thing that they have is Jakiro is sort of the strongest support that we have right now. In the entire pool, teams will very, very quickly move to secure him because he's got the great crowd control on his Ice Path that stuns. He can slow heroes and their attacks with Liquid Fire and Dual Breath. He's good at pushing if you should need to take down some heroes after winning a team fight. He has great AoE damage, especially on his Macro Pyre and in Column. Just a very, very strong support all around. And Rubik is a great adjunct to that. There's all sorts of pulling tricks that you can do with Rubik. He's good at being a support, and then he also brings pretty good damage, a good disable in the form of Telekinesis, and he can steal the best spells that your opponents have with his Spell Steal ultimate. So strong, very versatile lineup from 3D Max, and sort of keeping what carries they want, that's sort of keeping it sort of secret. Now, Svenhunterz has picked an interesting lineup. They started out by taking Shadow Demon and Queen of Pain. Now, for the Queen of Pain, that gives them their middle hero. Queen of Pain is always run as a mid, and they may have done this partially as sort of a deny. They just saw 3D Max perform extremely well with the Queen of Pain against Empire, so they sort of take the Queen of Pain away from them, and she's also a very strong mid in general. What's interesting is they didn't opt for Templar Assassin. Templar Assassin has been a very, very popular mid recently, but recently we've sort of seen her, a few more counters to her, and sort of seen the strength of, for instance, Darkseer against TA in the mid, and sort of Queen of Pain's holding their own better. So it's interesting that they chose not to do that. I think partially they wanted to take the Queen of Pain away from 3D Max because they have a sort of short-term hot streak with her, and they also just wanted a strong mid. But this Shadow Demon, so I've sort of been pressing, it's just actually the Schuster Man Sven. Shadow Demon is a strong support, and he's also very good at mobile ganking, and he's a pretty strong counter to Sven, who's the most popular carry hero right now, because you can sort of Demonic Purge to slow Sven down and make it harder for him to reach the opposing team and actually start dealing damage. But since they sort of picked the Shadow Demon as insurance against an early Sven pick, so if 3D Max had picked up Sven, they already had the Shadow Demon in hand to sort of partially counter that. And as a result, this sort of dissuaded 3D Max from picking up that Sven early. But interestingly, they actually end up banning Sven anyway, just because even with the Shadow Demon, even with as many counters as possible, you'd still rather not see Sven than actually see him. So they decide they actually don't want it, and they continue to sort of ban carries through there. They ban Chaos Knight, who's the sort of It's interesting because Sven used to be seen and perceived as a poor man's Chaos Knight, and now Chaos Knight is perceived as a poor man's Sven, basically, because they're both these sort of ganky strength carries that don't need too much farm to become effective, and they're very mobile. They're pretty mobile. They deal a lot of damage. They can stun. There's certain commonalities between these two heroes. Chaos Knight is a more common pair with Wisp. Sven can be played as a more supporty role, so there's some distinction between them, but they're pretty similar. But essentially, the reason why you see Svenhunterz spending their 3rd, 4th, and 5th pick, and most likely 5th pick on carries, is because they know that 3D Max still needs to pick up a carry player in their last two, carry hero in their last 2 picks. So meanwhile, 3D Max takes out a semi-carry option in the form of Mirana, gives you great mobility as well. Mirana has a very long-range stun. If you can land that long-range stun, you can just have your Queen of Pain run up and take advantage of that opportunity to just blow up someone immediately afterwards. So that's sort of the thought with that Mirana. Gyrocopter is a hero that's gaining in popularity. He was initially deployed as an Undying counter because his flat cannon passive that he can toggle, his flat cannon toggled ability allowed him to blow up all the zombies generated by Undying's tombstones. But now what we see instead is that, well, not instead, but Gyrocopter is still picked up frequently as a counter to Undying, but he's also picked up for his own sake. So Gyrocopter can deal amazing AoE damage if you stack damage items and combine them with this flat cannon, which gives us auto attack and AoE component. And he's just good in other ways as well. So Svenhunterz decided to opt for a Lifestealer as their last ban, which is an interesting choice. He's another strong strength carry, but 3D Max sort of had the response that one might expect, which is that they pick up the Faceless Void. Faceless Void is one of the few heroes that I would characterize as hard carries that's actually played in the current metagame. Right now, a lot of teams really rely on carries that peak earlier than your Faceless Voids of the world because they feel sort of the game is decided before the point of the game at which a Faceless Void can really come in and dominate. So we want a hero like Sven, or like Chaos Knight, like even Gyrocopter who can deal, or Luna who can deal magic damage early and transition into a lot of physical damage later on. Faceless Void doesn't have any form of magical damage delivery early, but what he does have is a great ultimate that has an AoE disable. You've got your Chronosphere to make sure nobody moves. He's actually also picked up sometimes as a counter to Sven because he can put Sven in the Chronosphere and bring him down before he can actually deal any cleave damage to the opposing team. But just in general, he's a pretty strong hard carry choice because he's got that natural evasion on his backtrack. He's got great damage once he builds up some farm, and he's got this Chronosphere, which is just a great AoE ability all around. So because sort of he was one of the strongest carries left in the pool after all these bans came out, 3D Max naturally decides to pick him up. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of Svenhunterz responds with. They did pick up this Chen. Chen has been not as popular recently as he maybe was back in the past. Oh, interesting to go with the Clockwerk. The Clockwerk is sort of an unorthodox pick. I'll talk really quickly about the Chen. Chen is usually run as a jungling support, so pick up creeps he'll pick up monsters in the jungle using his Holy Persuasion ability, and he really adds to your sort of gank and pushing factor early. The reason he's fallen out of favor a little bit is teams are less concerned with those early pushes, and so a lot of Chen's early game versatility has sort of been taken away, and he scales poorly into the mid and late game except for his heal. So that's Chen, but they did decide to pick him up. Combination with this, they have a very early gank capable lineup here. They're able to set things up with the Clockwerk and the Shadow Demon and their strong disabling potential, and then finish things off with the additional component of adding the Chen creeps, the huge damage from the Queen of Pain, and whatever carry they decide to pick up. So I'm really happy to see this Clockwerk. It's sort of a weird context for Clockwerk in. I've personally thought Clockwerk is underutilized as a counter to Sven. The rumor is that in the sort of Asian Dota metagame, and the Chinese metagame, and the Southeast Asia metagame, Clockwerk is being increasingly seen as a counter to Sven, because if you have a melee carry that is liable to be kited, and especially a melee carry where his main danger, like Sven, is his passive cleave, Clockwerk can lock himself in with that carry by using power cogs, and then they sort of can't get out. All they can hit on is Clockwerk. And if you just lose a Clockwerk versus losing your entire team, that's a much more favorable position for you to be in. And they pick up the Luna. I really thought that they actually would. That's sort of the most obvious carry choice left. Luna is another very popular carry currently. The reason you might want Luna is what we were talking about earlier with the Sven and the Chaos Knight. Luna brings play early in the form of her magic damage. She's got the Lucent Beam, which does a lot of damage, and then the Eclipse, which at levels 6 and 11 is still just incredibly dominant ability. It sends out tons of Lucent Beams. So she's got great magic damage early, and she can transition into being a very strong hard carry. sort of, I should say, she's not really a hard carry, but she's got great AoE damage on her Moonglaive that sort of bounces, and so she brings a lot of damage to the table late. However, I think if the game goes very long, Svenhunters are going to find themselves in an increasingly more and more difficult position. And the reason is that 3D Max will be able to start bringing to bear the power of this Faceless Void. In a one-on-one fight late in the game, Faceless Void will absolutely crush Luna. I don't think she'll have much of a chance at all. And the other component is that I think a lot of Svenhunters' goal is going to be trying to get kills early. They've got the Shadow Demon, whose effectiveness tapers off later on. They've got Chen, who's not that great late. Queen of Pain can do work throughout the game, and so can Luna. But this sort of Chen, Clockwerk, Shadow Demon axis is really going to want to try to get lots of kills early. So it could be an exciting game to watch in terms of, you know, how many kills we're going to see and a lot of action all around the map. But I think if 3D Max is able to play defensively and protect their Faceless Void, which they've got great tools to do so in the form of the Rubik and Jakiro, extremely strong supports, then I think 3D Max will be favored to win the long game. And in a small engagement, Svenhunters is going to be very, very dominant because in sort of a 2-on-2 fight or a 3-on-3 fight, they've got the tools to lock down the opposing heroes and just kill them very quickly with the burst damage from the Queen of Pain and potentially the Luna. But in a 5-on-5 fight, Svenhunters are going to have to play extremely carefully to not get caught out in the extreme combos that can come out from 3D Max. So they've got the Crotosphere from the Void to lock people down. That can be paired with this Macropyre to deal incredible damage because people can't move out of the column of flame that the Macropyre generates. And that's not even to mention the fact that they also have tricks like Vacuum, they put down the Wall of Replica, and they pick up this Enigma, who's got this Black Hole ability, which is also incredibly, incredibly strong to disable as many opposing heroes as possible. So in a 5-on-5 fight, 3D Max is going to be very, very favored. So as for Svenhunters, the key is going to be to try to get pickoffs all over the map and really put 3D Max on the back foot so that they can take a commanding advantage before 3D Max are really able to get into the game. So let's take a look at the lanes. What's actually interesting is that it looks like 3D Max are... Well, sorry, yeah. So they're running the Enigma in as a full jungler. And then they're going to run a dual lane here with the Faceless Void and the Jakiro. So Jakiro will support the Void and keep him away from harm against this Clockwerk. Then they've got Rubik middle, and they've got Darkseer in the side lane solo. So as I mentioned earlier, Darkseer is a great side lane solo. He's better than any of their other options. Bar maybe Enigma, but it's better to put Enigma in the jungle if you can. He's able to get kills from last hits from far away to get his gold up with these ion shells. He's actually able to do quite a bit of harassment as well. And he's very difficult to kill because as soon as he gets level 2, he'll pick up the Surge to move at max movement speeds. So they're actually running the Rubik mid. We used to see Rubik mid much more often than we do currently, but he's certainly a very competent mid. He's not maybe so great against Bat-Rat or Templar Assassin, who are the two, or even Magnus, who are the 2 or 3 mids of choice right now. But against a Queen of Pain, Rubik isn't that unfavored, and he was their best option out of the team that they had. And then we got the Faceless Void up here. He's probably going to get... it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how much farm Clockwerk is able to contest. The scary thing about laning against Clockwerk, of course, is he's got this Power Cogs ability to... Ooh, sorry, I missed a First Blood. Oh, so they do manage to pick up Darkseer here. What happens is that if you start out as level 1, so you can only either get Surge or Ion Shell. And so if you opt for the Ion Shell, your escape is rather poor until you're actually able to pick up Surge. So at level 1, Darkseer is actually very, very vulnerable if he decides to go that Ion Shell first. If he decides to go Surge first, it's a much easier story because he can sort of, you know, he can get away, and then later on he can try to get his farm. But, you know, Ace decided to pick up Ion Shell first this time, and he ended up paying for it. He did hit level 2 as they were sort of killing him, but it wasn't enough to get away with Surge. Sorry for missing that. I'm a little bit rusty since I haven't actually cast anything in like a week and a half. Alright, so let's talk about Svenhunters. So they've got this 2.5 bot where they have the Chen in the jungle getting some farm. Actually, they're going for a smoke gank here. So he's got this Centaur. This guy has an AoE stun, which they'll try to use to go on this Rubik. Rubik is playing pretty conservatively. I think he wants to fill up his bottle. He actually will get that bottle. I'm not sure how this gank is going to go. They might have to give up. Yeah, they actually run out their smoke and they're not able to get this gank. But they've got the Chen bot. They've got the Shadow Demon playing full support bot. You can see the Shadow Demon branded ward right here. And so those are supporting this Luna. And then in the top they have Clockwerk. So Clockwerk is an interesting solo hero. He is able to farm from afar with his Rocket Flare ability. So that makes him, that gives him the sort of need that you have to actually farm from a distance. And he is able to escape from things by popping the power cogs and walking, sort of blowing up the back one and walking through it, which means that it's difficult for heroes to chase him. Noya, this Faceless Void actually for some reason is quite low already. I think he took a lot of damage from cogs and Rocket Flare. So that's interesting, but he's going to heal up with the healing self. So yeah, Clockwerk is still just being very, very aggressive. It's interesting because the supports so often now are in the jungle just constantly pulling and stacking these creep camps. As a consequence, the solo laner, actually, he's in trouble again. He's being 3-on-1'd. Clockwerk will probably die here. I don't think he can get this Void. He might be able to. Ooh, Clockwerk does actually pick off the Void. He will lose his life, but that's a great trade. You lose your solo lane, side lane solo, in exchange for the main carry of the other team. I think you're almost always willing to make that trade. And it looks like, I'm not sure if this Gloves of Haste, I think this will probably be a Midas first. So this is a Void build that's picking up popularity, which is to get Hand of Midas to ramp up your farm. And sort of around the 20-minute mark, you'll be very, very strong if you're able to get that 5 or 6-minute Midas. You really want to ramp as quickly as possible in the current metagame if you're a hard carry like Void. So the Midas is sort of, you want the attack speed already, and then with the attack speed combined with being able to get more gold from Midas, actually they're going to, well, Clockwerk's just going to lock himself in and fight this, but I don't think he is. Not quite able to take that 1 versus 3. That's the danger of Clockwerk. He does need to get in close to deal any of his damage, and he is able to get some farm with Rocket Flare, but this Clockwerk has chosen to level Battery Assault first, so he really wants to get in close, and the consequence of that is it's very difficult to get out of the disables that the Jakiro and somewhat the Enigma are able to generate. So let's take a look at the last hit stats. We've actually got pretty good farm both for the Luna and the Faceless Void, so pretty even. You sort of see these days early that because there's not that much that much of an objection raised in the bottom lane against the main carries, and usually teams are reticent to send their supports all the way across to help gank the opposite lane hard carry. You see that these carries essentially get uncontested farm. And so in Luna's case, you see 32 last hits. In Void's case, you see 28. You see a few less because he did end up dying to that Clockwerk. But there's sort of an unfortunate lack of interactivity that sometimes happens as a result of that. In the sense that these carries essentially just get uncontested farm, and there's not even their friendly heroes next to them. There's just the carry farming by themselves. So 3D Max have actually moved their Darkseer. They now have them in the jungle as well. I guess he didn't quite feel safe enough. He has actually died twice. So he's just going to farm the jungle. These camps are already stacked. They've got multiple sets of creeps in them. So he's just going to put Ion Shell on himself and farm through these and get his levels that way. So you can see what I was just talking about. These sort of teams will very much lock down their own side of the map and not even worry about the other team. To the point where in this case they've sort of moved the Darkseer out completely. And he's just not participating in this Luna Farm Fest at all anymore, not even moving to try to contest it. We do see a ward from 3D Max a little bit aggressively in the sort of opposing ancient area here. So that's somewhat interesting. But this Clockwerk's actually getting pretty... this Clockwerk has been surprisingly well in terms of keeping up on levels. He's managed to get the XP to hit level 6 already. I think Darkseer's not quite level 6 yet. Yeah, Darkseer is only level 4. So definitely a better performance for Clockwerk than it was for Darkseer. But this ward is actually already paying off because Rubik now knows there's a Clockwerk here who wants to use this hookshot ability to get in close and actually disable him. So great warding here. Svenhunterz does not know that 3D Max knows that there's a ward here, so this Clockwerk wasted a ton of time sitting here waiting for Rubik to get into range of hookshot, which he probably never will unless he actively makes a mistake. So they moved the Darkseer back here. Now that he's been able to get a few more levels, they sort of feel a little more okay. But Darkseer alone is going to have trouble defending this tower against all the pressure that they can bring to bear on it. I don't see any Chen creeps here though. Oh yeah, there's this one Darkseer Warlord, which is actually dead now. So, interesting game so far. We've had a few kills on both sides. I still think that a very, very passive game like this favors 3D Max, and they've picked very smart warding locations to minimize the risk of Clockwerk getting extra kills. Clockwerk really wants to be using that hookshot to jump in and get kills whenever he can, and so if you ward here, you can detect Clockwerk. You can sort of see if Clockwerk's planning a hookshot like this or a hookshot like this. And if you ward here, this is the most likely thing that Clockwerk, the most likely path that he would take to gank mid would be to go over here and hook across like this. So you can see 3D Max very, very strategic in terms of their where they've chosen to actually plant their wards, and so they're all in on making sure that this Clockwerk is not able to get additional kills. Clockwerk sort of moves up, he wants to be aggressive, and immediately he's having issues again, because 3D Max knew that he walked in to be aggressive, and they can immediately set 3 heroes on him. So great defensive play here from this core of 3 heroes, from this Enigma, Jakiro, and Faceless Void core here. And Clockwerk, even though I think in a pure one-on-one situation he actually would be able to contest the Void, he's not able to because Jakiro and Enigma are always there to stun him, to lock him down, to make sure he dies within those own cogs of his. They haven't actually even needed to pop the Faceless Void ultimate at any point. So even on the kill count, pretty much even on the farm between Luna and Faceless Void. Again, like I said, the slower you see this game progress, the happier Faceless Void is likely to be. It looks like he actually got his boots of speed. I don't know if he'll finish treads before doing Manta. Oh, my mistake, actually. I missed Clockwerk. So the one thing that they can't predict with these wards is Clockwerk just teleporting into the middle and immediately hooking Rubik. So that's what he did right there. He dies, he teleports back. Rather than teleport to his normal location, he teleports to the mid, he sets up that gank, and then he leaves. So great play from this Clockwerk. I think this pick is very, very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing Clockwerk a little more often. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as this game goes on, because he really is going to have to maximize the effectiveness of every hook shot every time he gets his hook shot cooldown up. And we have more kills on the top here. Wow, I'm missing a lot of kills. But Rubik is actually able to counter. He stole the Lucent Beam to pick off Luna. That's actually quite good. One-on-one trade, again, if you're side lane solo for the opposing team's main carry, is a trade you're almost always willing to take. And Svenhunterz were in a very, very dived state there as well. You can see the Clockwerk, again, trying to prevent being chased by running into placing cogs, but it's still very, very difficult just because they've got all those slows and all those stuns that can come out from 3D Max. It's kind of rough. Clockwerk is tough to play on the side lane just because his limited effectiveness when not in melee, and his escape ability is not a traditional escape ability. He doesn't actually have a way of moving quickly or of a sort of jumping or blinking. He just has power cogs, and he's been trying to use it to its best effect, but it's not so effective when you're trying to run away from an Enigma and a Jakiro, who are quite long range, and they've got this extremely long range destabilize path they can use on you. And we've got Darkseid again. So currently this is a story of the tri-lane of each team, or rather, sorry, I should say the main carry, the jungler, and the support of each team completely dominating the side lane solo of the other team. So I think we can still say that Clockwerk is doing a little better than Darkseid. He's 1 level up on him, he has an extra kill, but both of them are just getting beat up on by the opposing team, absolutely. 3D Max did overextend a little bit when they dove way past the tower. This tower is actually at 61 hit points. I don't know if the Rubik, he will actually deny it. Oh, he will not deny it. He gets jumped in on by Clockwerk, and now he will die. That hookshot is really a great ability because you can sort of take it from weird angles and jump in on people. That was more worth it than it even seemed to be, because not only did they get the kill on Rubik, Rubik had cast telekinesis, his disable on Luna, and he was about to deny the tower when they managed to hookshot him. Hookshot as a stun component. They killed, the tower died during that time, so they didn't lose the gold from the deny, and they managed to kill off Rubik in the process. So great rotation by Clockwerk there. They actually pick up the bounty of a tower in the middle as well, and now we sort of see this aggressive composition from Svenhunterz really doing what it set out to do, which is get as many towers down as possible, get map control. This will give them quite a bit of additional map control in the form of these 3 towers here, mean that they're now sort of equal on Roche. I don't know if they're going to go for him. I don't think they will. But they're in not far worse of a position to contest a Roshan spawn, for instance, compared to the Dire. They have a lot more control of these Ancients here. You can see they actually warded here and they warded here. So this Ancient camp is going to be hotly contested, and I think Svenhunterz started out as sort of the favorite people to get it. Luna is a committed Ancient camp farmer. What she does is she'll pick up Helm of the Dominator, which you can see she has. She will mind control a creep like the Satyr Hellcaller, and she'll just constantly stack a camp of creeps and then clear them out later with her cleave ability on the Moonglaive. So you can see she's already taking out some stacked jungle creeps that were camps that were given to her. Svenhunterz starts out at a slight advantage in this department too, because they didn't have to use any of their stacked jungle camps in order to give their side lane solo farm. So you saw how Darkseer had to retreat into the jungle and clear out some of these these camps. Svenhunterz just didn't need to do that at any point, so they had more stacked camps for Luna to work with to get a level advantage. So you can see the farm is still pretty similar, but Luna is a little bit ahead, and I think if we look at gold, yeah, in terms of gold per minute, Luna is vastly ahead because she's participated in more kills. The creeps she's been killing are worth more money. This Clockwerk, unfortunately, goes down to the combination of the Chronosphere and the other ultimates. We've got Queen of Pain jumping in. Svenhunterz actually might be able to turn this one right around. I think they can get Jakiro. Actually, yes, that damage over time tick will kill Jakiro. She could keep her going. Yeah, actually, this Rubik has shadow. He has the shadow word on him. That'll actually make him go down. And they pop the Chen ultimate to give everybody a heal. Keep this Queen of Pain train going. Really good play from Svenhunterz there to turn around the death of the Clockwerk into something good. Queen of Pain is just able to deliver so much damage, and even more so since her magic abilities deal above average damage, like every single one of them does. When you have that Shadow Demon debuff, the Soul Catcher that causes someone to take 50% more damage, that just increases Queen of Pain's kill potential so dramatically. It's a really, really strong combo, and you sort of see them using it to its full effect there. Now, they didn't actually kill Faceless Void, but they did manage to pick off 2 separate heroes, so they sort of turned a disadvantage into an advantage there. The Shadow Demon's in a little bit of trouble. I don't think he'll actually die, but he is chased off by these Eidolons from Enigma. And now you see Faceless Void facing a little more pressure, so he's already down to the gold per minute because he didn't have those 3 towers going down. They actually have no towers of Svenhunterz is down yet. So that and the fact that some of Luna's kills were on higher value targets mean that she's ahead a little bit. And actually had, in the time that Faceless Void was pushed back towards this tower, he wasn't able to get any last hits. So that gave Luna an opportunity to get far more last hits and actually get quite a substantial farm advantage over this Faceless Void. Now, again, as I've mentioned multiple times, actually, interestingly, he just has the Gloves of Haste, and he's going for Battle Fury already. So I think this is somewhat interesting. I think this is sort of an evolving item build from this Faceless Void here, Noya. I think he started out by thinking he would go Midas, but now, at some point, I think he pivoted into the idea of going Battle Fury. So the fact that he has this Perseverance and this Claymore means almost certainly he's going to make Battle Fury. He actually just finished it, so that's the last 2 components of his Battle Fury. I got to fly out to the courier. So what Battle Fury does is it gives you AoE on your attacks, and so as compared to Midas, it gives you a comparable increase in your farm, although it's more over time and it costs far more than Midas. So partially it might be that he feels he can dig in for a slightly longer game than he would be playing for with Midas, and he's okay with just farming the jungle with Battle Fury for a while. And I think the other component of it is that Faceless Void feels that they might need a little bit more power in these small group engagements. So they're not quite ready to fight 5-on-5 yet. I think in a 5-on-5 situation they're still fairly confident. But in these 2-on-2, 3-on-3 situations, they're not feeling so great because, you know, of what just happened in the last couple small group engagements that they've had. So the advantage of a Battle Fury is if you do lock say 2 or 3 heroes down inside of your Chronosphere, the damage you deal to them while you're meleeing them is going to be AoE. It gives you that cleave. So interesting choice to actually go the Battle Fury. I know that Battle Fury has been becoming less popular on Void recently, just because the farm advantage is compounded over a longer period of time. So in these sort of shorter games that we've been having, you're not likely to actually realize that much of a farm benefit from the Battle Fury as opposed to other abilities. And its teamfight potential is just less than items like Mjolnir. Mjolnir is very, very popular in Faceless Void right now just because the also AoE damage that it does, but over a wider radius and in the form of magic damage. So Battle Fury less popular, and I think Faceless Void did not start this game intending to go Battle Fury, but he did pivot into it. We did see him pick up the Ring of Health. I didn't comment on it at that time, but that was a moderate Battle Fury signal. And now he makes the Power Tread, so he decides to use the Gloves of Haste, not for a Midas, but for a Power Tread. So that's a fine build. It's sort of the classic Faceless Void build. Used to be the Faceless Void, and Faceless Voids in pub games still usually go something like Treads, Mask of Madness, Battle Fury. So interesting choices. Their worry right now is still that they're 3 towers down. 3D Max could and probably will push down more towers. They've got 3 very, very beefy creeps mind controlled by the Chen here. They're probably just going to try to, once this Luna gets a little more farm, she'll come over and they'll sort of try to push down more towers. So 3D Max's concern is to try to keep this game from really spiraling out of control while they collect the farm on Void. They're definitely making a long game bet on this Void right now, no question about it. So they really want him to actually be able to get his full effectiveness later on in the game. So Definitely interesting. We see Darkseer sabotaging the jungle of the Radiant at this moment. Sort of the idea being that Luna can't get those kills if they're already gone because he'd pick them off. And he's very, very escapable. In one-on-one situation, Darkseer has absolutely no fear of Luna. She can't eclipse him to death because he can just run away with a surge. She does actually deal quite a bit of damage already, interestingly. She does have that drums, the Ring of Akala. This is the classic, very defensive Luna build that you frequently see. It was interesting. It was actually pioneered. We are going to see Chronosphere, so Chris avoided jumping right in this. He did clip the tower with it. Towers are disabled by Chronosphere, so it wasn't dealing any damage. But he doesn't manage to actually get any kills in there. Because, like I said, Battlefield just isn't quite enough for him this time. And the 3D Max is not actually able to take this fight. I think they were overly optimistic to start in with that Chronosphere. Jakiro dies without actually doing almost anything. And CHW is just chasing this Darkseer. I don't think they'll kill him. Yeah, Rubik's here to defend. The Rubik actually has Blink Dagger, which is... No, he doesn't. He has the Queen of Pain Blink stolen. Yeah, I don't know why I thought he had Blink Dagger. Very good ability for him. Lets him get in, lets him get out. So, a really unfortunate fight there by 3D Max. I think maybe a miscommunication, but just in general, if you're Faceless Void and you have no attack speed to speak of other than Power Treads, it's going to be difficult for you to actually deal very much damage under your Chronosphere. So a little bit questionable of that, and if they were going to do it, they had better commit to it. I think Jakiro did toss out his Macro Pyre, but they didn't commit nearly as many resources to that fight as they could have. And I think they paid for it. The Faceless Void immediately got turned around on by Clockwerk. He hookshot it in, did quite a bit of damage. Even though the Faceless Void blinked out, it wasn't enough for him to survive. And just, you know, they lose 3 for nothing, and they don't even pick up the tower kill, and they lose a tower in the process. So very, very, very poor decision-making from 3D Max there. I mean, there's not really two ways to put it. That was not good decision-making. They're making this long-term bet with the Void, so it behooves them not to get into these small group engagements that I just said they don't really want to see unless it's 5 versus 5. And if they do, they really need stuff like they need the Black Hole to happen, they need the Macro Power, and they need all that on top of the Void Chronosphere. So, Svenhunterz probably feeling pretty good right now. Their Queen of Pain doesn't have the best creep farm in the world, but she is getting tons of kills. I think she's, yeah, 3-0. So no deaths, and in addition, she just picked up her Aghanim Scepter, so that's also very, very good. That means that Queen of Pain will be dealing even more damage with that great ultimate, the ultimate that deals damage at a cone. With the Scepter, it actually already deals 530 damage, and in another rank it'll deal 725, which is just incredible. When you keep in mind the Shadow Demon can debuff people to take 50% more damage, that's just an incredible amount of damage coming out. And now 3D Max has to be on the run again. This Jakiro will probably die. Queen of Pain will chase him down if nothing else. Amazing Clockwerk hook. He actually got the haste from the Darkseer, and it didn't matter because he was stunned by the Clockwerk hook immediately after being hasted. And 3D Max are on the run again. I think they're right now at this moment. Svenhunterz early to mid game potential is really coming into play. They're playing as a team. They're going as 5 everywhere. And 3D Max just have to be either on the run, or when they take engagements, they're kind of at a loss. They're not actually able to set up those situations in which they can pop the Enigma Black Hole, pop the Wall of Replica, get everything in a position where they want to be playing. Because Svenhunterz is sort of just more mobile. They're able to dictate the pace of these team fights and really just make sure that 3D Max can't start setting up their combo. They don't even get to the beginning of their combo, really. We saw it only once with that Faceless Void Chronosphere, and the positioning, I think, made the rest of 3D Max a little leery about going in, and that hesitation cost them pretty dearly. So I think we're going to see Svenhunterz continue to try to press this advantage. They have a substantial net worth advantage on their Luna. After the sort of defensive beginning, I think she sort of started heading into, yeah, we see this Luna starting to head into offensive spells. So you take the Tranquil Boots, a good defensive boot option. You take the Magic Wand to get yourself some mana regen. You take the Drums to speed yourself up. You're already a quick hero. This gives you amazing escape. You can see Luna's jetting along at only 50. Her passive movement speed right now with this Tranquil Boots, Yasha, Drums is 465, which is only 55 below the maximum movement speed you can have in the game. So that's an amazing amount of distance that you can travel. And now with this Manta style, in addition, he's just able to deal great damage. He has this great AoE. He's got the Helm of the Dominator to give him lifesteal, and he's both hard to kill. He can get this Eclipse out. He can do a ton of damage, and you know, he's already seeing quite a bit of his carry potential realized. Unlike, on the flip side, this Faceless Void, who you now see him building that Mask of Madness. That's not surprising. With this sort of classic Faceless Void build with the Battle Fury, really needs that Mask of Madness to give him both the lifesteal that it gives. He's going to be farming this Ancient Creep Camp as well. He both needs it for the lifesteal, and he really badly needs the burst of attack damage to hit more under that Chronosphere. So we're probably going to be seeing this Void go in pretty soon to try to get this camp, but on the flip side, Svenhunterz are coming in with smoke. So Clockwerk is a great hero to smoke up. Wow, that Enigma just melts. And now immediately 3D Max have to run because they no longer have the black hole. They don't even have anything resembling a black hole. The Clockwerk is so good with smoke because you can sort of know exactly where you need to stand. Rubik did steal the Queen of Pain ult there, but it's not nearly enough. Oh, they do manage to vacuum. Here's the combo. This is what we were talking about. This is the 5-on-5 fight that Svenhunterz might be scared of. But are they too far ahead for this to actually be effective? No, probably not. I think this Luna will die. Will Luna die? Wow, amazing. That was amazing. That turnaround to keep the Luna alive and kill that Faceless Void, that's huge. That is a huge win for them, not losing the Luna and killing off the Faceless Void. So we did, for a brief moment there, see what 3D Max's game plan was all along. It was the vacuum everybody up. So vacuum moves everyone to one central location. So vac them up, put the Chronosphere down, put the Macro Pyre down. So you've got tons of fire damage. You've got tons of, he's still level 1, but it's 125 damage a second for 7 seconds. So that's an incredible amount of damage over time. And you've got a captive audience because they're trapped in this Chronosphere for 4.5 seconds. And then the Faceless Void AoE damage can deal a ton of damage to them while they're also taking damage from the Macro Pyre, while they're all vacuumed in, while they're all disabled. So good combo. However, problem is, they don't quite have enough yet. They don't have their mechanism. This Darkseer is building it. He has the headdress already, but he doesn't actually have the rest of the mechanism. So they're not able to heal up their own heroes. The Radiant are able to heal up their own heroes. As long as Chen isn't caught in that Chronosphere, and he wasn't, he can use this mechanism to heal everybody. He can use his ultimate to heal everybody. And it might not save everyone from the combo, but it'll save enough people. And in that case, it saved the Luna, which was critical. And they managed to actually get out of that without losing did they not lose anyone? That can't possibly be right. I think they might have not. No, they lost no one to that incredible combo, so that's quite incredible. And the other benefit is, we talked about this Ancient Creep camp and how it was going to be contested. Off the back of that fight that they won against 3D Max, they picked up every single creep here. And the creeps here, the Ancient Creeps, they're worth far more gold than the creeps anywhere else on the map. So that allows Luna to additionally leverage her net worth and continue to increase it. So we see that her gold per minute is now pushing 600. That's an extremely high value. And additionally, they'll be able to pick up this Roshan most likely. I think they'll put the Aegis of the Immortal on Luna, give her a 1-up. She's pretty close to BKB. BKB will give her immunity to a lot of the combo that 3D Max is proposing. I actually don't know if he'll go BKB. I think he probably will. Luna BKB is quite common. They can come up to defend this tower. They are up 11 kills. They have no towers lost. They've taken down now 4 towers for 3D Max. I think they could easily go for more. The 3D Max's ults will all be up. I think Faceless Voids is up soon as well. Yes, it is. It's up, and they actually have never pulled off a successful black hole in the entire game, so black hole is certainly up. They actually do have mechanism. I misspoke. It's on Enigma, so I guess Darkseer is making pipe. Pipe will help them out quite a bit. So he's got this Hood of Defiance plus headdress plus some more money equals a pipe. Pipe blocks magic damage from the opposing team. That'll be very, very good. Pipe is an amazing item against Queen of Pain because she delivers almost all of her damage in the form of magic. It's pretty good against Clockwerk, actually, too, just because his Battery Assault deals magic damage. And it's great against Luna's Eclipse or her Lucent Beam. It won't be enough to block all of those sources at the same time, but, you know, it will defray some of the damage, and in concert with Mechanism, you can really sort of defend yourself better. It'll be interesting to see what this Jakiro goes if he ever gets any money. For now, he just sort of has Arcane Boots, Magic Wand, and Wards. It's pretty normal. But it'll be interesting to see if he picks up the Veil of Discord because the pressure to take Mechanism has been reduced by the fact that Enigma already has it. And he can't take Pipe because Darkseer is about to finish it as well. So, interesting game. I think Svenhunterz are in a pretty big lead. Luna has a 3-level advantage on Faceless Void. It's interesting, Luna's actually chosen to go Boots of Travel rather than the Mechanism, so they want that additional mobility. They want the ability to put their Luna. So for now, he can sort of just fight these Ancients and farm them. But at the drop of a hat, if Queen of Pain is off killing somebody, Luna can immediately jump in as well with the Boots of Travel and teleport and do a lot of damage as well. So definitely an interesting call for them. This Luna's 5-1, so far it's been going great. He's got 220 last hits at 27 minutes, which is a lot of last hits. So definitely Svenhunterz are, I think, where they want to be right now. The question for Svenhunterz is, can they leverage their advantage? So I think that, yeah, more than 10k. So more than 10k gold advantage. Can they take the gold advantage they have right now and keep pressing 3D Max and keep putting them in unfavorable situations? Because we already saw, even though 3D Max lost that last team fight resoundingly, we began to see the beginnings of their game plan taking shape. And that's significant because whenever they have a fight that's even slightly a smidge more favorable than that one, like if for instance Void had actually finished his Mask of Madness prior to the beginning of that fight rather than after the fight ended, he would have been able to deal far more damage to the people trapped under Chronosphere than he actually did. And I think it's entirely possible that he would have killed enough people to turn the tide of that fight. Because he didn't have the Mask of Madness, he wasn't able to attack 30% faster, and he wasn't actually able to do that much damage. But now that he does have the Mask of Madness, now that he is building the BKB to go on top of it, we're going to see this Void become more and more of a threat in this game. And that's exactly what Svenhunterz don't want. They want to end this game before the Void becomes a really, really terrifying force, because their late game plan against Void is not great. Clockwerk is far worse against Faceless Void than he is against Sven, and the reason is that he can trap Sven in fairly trivially with these power cogs, and it's difficult for Sven to get out, but he can't really trap Void with the power cogs, because Void can time walk out of them assuming the cooldown is up. So although Clockwerk is still good and he's good against any melee carry, he's less effective against melee carries like Faceless Void than he is on against Sven. So that's going to be interesting to see, is as this Faceless Void becomes stronger, how are they going to deal with that? Let me talk really quickly about what Clockwerk is actually built. So on any sort of very, very mobile ganker like Clockwerk, Urn of Shadows is a popular item because it charges up whenever you kill opposing heroes, and then you can use it for a heal. And Clockwerks take a big beating in any team fight, so you really, really want that heal on demand if you have it. We sort of see Luna just pressuring a tower there. 3D Max were scared to go on it because they didn't have enough people over, and because Luna had popped her Manta style and had a double damage rune on. That's really, really scary to go in on. A double damage Luna is going to do a ton of damage because the Moonglaive causes her attack to bounce, and so each bounce will do more damage as well because of the double damage rune on her. So very, very scary Luna right now. He's actually still not going the BKB, which I think is interesting. I think the rationale is if you're disabled in a Chronosphere, which happens regardless of your BKB status, you're going to take damage no matter what. So there's no real point to going BKB unless she does it maybe far later, because either you are disabled on the Chronosphere or you aren't, and it's sort of just a binary situation. What he has decided to go for is Satanic. So Satanic is a great item on any hero that's already making Helm of the Dominator, and Helm of the Dominator is extremely common on Lunas because they really want to stack those creep camps and take them down. So once you have the Helm of the Dominator, you're already 1900 of the way towards the almost 6,000, actually more than 6,000 gold purchase price of that Satanic. And once you have the Satanic, it's a great item on a hero like Luna, because what Satanic gives you is it gives you quite a bit of passive lifesteal, and then you can activate it for an enormous burst of lifesteal. And enormous bursts of lifesteal on a hero that deals cleaving, well not cleaving, but bouncing damage and can just deal an incredible amount of damage in that time are fantastic. That's exactly sort of what you want. So even if your Luna takes a punishment in the beginning of a fight, she's a very forbidding target to actually kill because you can pop this Satanic and heal up a lot of that damage immediately. The flip side of this is when you're disabled, Satanic does very little. It does give you strength, so it gives you pretty good survivability in terms of giving you additional health, and it does give you armor. So those are two good things. But a disabled hero can't lifesteal, and the lack of this BKB on Luna means that if she does get locked down in a Chronosphere and taken down before she can get out of the Chronosphere and pop Satanic, she's going to be in a lot of trouble. There are certain kinds of debuffs that she can shuck just by using Manta style, but Chronosphere is not one of them. So it'll sort of be interesting to see. I mean, then again, even if Luna got a BKB, it wouldn't be enough to live through Chronosphere. But something like a Rubik Disable or a Jakiro Ice Path, BKB would be effective against that. I think the logic is sort of A, there are all these higher priority items I want to pick up, and B, both Black Hole and Chronosphere will actually work even if I'm BKB'd, so it's not the most efficient purchase for me. Now, there's a concern here, actually we have a pause, but the concern I think for 3D Max is Void's farm in the sort of 5 minutes in which there hasn't been that much action has been quite poor, and part of this is because with no towers remaining, no exterior towers outside of their base, the map control situation is really, really tough. So if you're a hard carry, like Faceless Void, and you're sort of trying to venture out and get your farm, you are very, very scared all the time, right? Like, it's sort of a paranoid situation because you can get jumped by heroes like Queen of Pain, and either you have to use your ultimate to escape, or maybe you're disabled before you can even get the ultimate out. So it's very, very scary going out and trying to pick up these kills. Now they have been warding well, so they do have some vision. They have vision of this area. If Svenhunterz has come in here, they have vision of here. So he's pretty safe in this sort of shell here. But nonetheless, we see that Faceless Void has not been able to sort of get the farm that he needs to get that BKB up, because I think he really, really does want to hit that BKB as soon as possible. And unless he's able to farm quite a bit in the next few minutes, I think Svenhunterz might well decide to push up and try to take a tier 3 tower prior to him being able to get that BKB up. And that's going to be a real test of will for 3D Max, I think. A real test to see if in this constricted area, sort of, this is one of the ideal areas you want to fight in if your game plan revolves around dealing a lot of damage in an enclosed space, right? Because if this tower is alive and these Rexes are alive, the actual area in which you can have your heroes stepping in is very, very small. So you also, when you're assaulting a tier 3 tower, or whenever you're attacking uphill, you have a 30% miss chance from the low ground to the high ground. So when you're attacking something like this, when you're going high ground, as some commentators like to put it, you really want, if possible, to move your heroes up the stairs. But the downside of moving your heroes up the stairs is now you're sort of in this potential arena here, right? So you've moved from, you can have your heroes spread out here, but once you're in here, you're funneled into a very tight choke point. And a tight choke point is exactly where 3D Max want to play, because that's where they can have the Enigma blink in, black hole you all. At the conclusion of the black hole, they can vac and Chronosphere, they can add the Macropyre on top. And so I think Svenhunterz are justifiably sort of paranoid of extending to actually assault this tier 3. But you know, sooner or later you have to. There's not exactly like one item that Svenhunterz can hit where they're like, okay, now we are no longer scared of the ultimate combo that 3D Max presents. So I think sooner or later they're going to have to just be like, well, we're as ready now as we're ever going to be, so we'll have to just go now. And their time is limited, I think. This Void is getting... I actually missed that he had actually already bought his Mithril Hammer, so he was only about 600 gold off from... well, even less, because he just sold his, well, about the same. But he's only about 600 gold off from that BKB. And once he gets that BKB, he's going to start to become a threat. He's going to be difficult to disable, because he'll pop the Chronosphere, do all the damage in there, and then after that, he will pop the BKB for up to 10 seconds of magic immunity. So, essentially, Eclipse will no longer be a factor against that Faceless Void at all. Luckily, Luna's already transitioned out of the Eclipse plan, just because his farm has been so amazing. He's almost at 700 gold per minute. His farm is so good on this Luna that he's already a major threat just in terms of his auto attacks with this Mantis style, with this Satanic. So he has a plan B if Eclipse doesn't work, and he can still sort of stand up to this Faceless Void up to the point where the Faceless Void is actually able to add on a Butterfly, which is what I think he's going to go Butterfly next. He might not, but he's likely to. So I don't think Svenhunterz are particularly concerned about the BKB specifically, but certainly it's another item on the road to Faceless Void being able to take 3D Max back into this game. So right now it still looks pretty grim for them. They still have less gold per minute on this Faceless Void than Svenhunterz have on this Queen of Pain, and they have comparable net worths since Queen of Pain has the full Aghanim's. He has this Ultimate Orb. I think this is going to be Sheepstick. Almost certainly it's going to be Sheepstick, actually. You have other options with Ultimate Orb. You can make Scotty, which is a sort of fringe item that Queen of Pain sometimes makes. But I think more likely he's really going to make a Sheepstick out of that. Sheepstick is it's a jargon term, so I'll explain what it means. There's an item called Scythe of Vice. And what it does is it turns a unit into a what they call a harmless critter for 3.5 seconds. I think Scythe of Vice actually turns people into pigs, but it's called the Sheepstick because perhaps at one point in the Warcraft 3 engine it turned people into sheep. So unfortunately you just have to deal with people calling it Sheepstick, even though it's really a Scythe of Vice. But regardless, what the point of Scythe of Vice is, it's expensive, but it gives you tons of mana regen, so 150% mana regeneration, which is great for an extremely mana-hungry hero like Queen of Pain. It gives you a lot of intelligence, so that increases her damage, it increases her mana pool, and that CC, the disable that it gives you, is extremely good. It's essentially one of the best disables in the game, but on an item. Like, you don't need to take a specific hero. All you need is the low price of 5,675 gold. So, in the sort of annals of how do we stop this Faceless Void, I think Scythe of Vice figures prominently into that plan. Now, you cannot sheepstick someone. You can't use Scythe of Vice on someone when they have the Black King bar active. So for the first few team fights after Faceless Void activates this Black King bar, it's gonna be pretty scary for Svenhunterz to actually rely on sheepsticking on scything him, because it's gonna be 10 seconds plus the 6 seconds of the Chronosphere that you're actually, it's very, very unlikely to actually be able to sheep him. But you might be able to do it after he's used this Black King bar a few times, because the duration of Black King bar is less the more you use it. So for now, Svenhunterz are actually playing somewhat conservatively. This is what I sort of said at the beginning of the game that they should be watching out for, because the more time they give this Faceless Void to just free farm, the more likely he is to actually start catching up with this Luna. Now that seems pretty far off currently, but trust me, it can happen. With this Battle Fury, he's essentially able to have parity in how quickly he farms with this Luna and her inherent cleave on her Moonglaive. And if they're able to win some team fights, if he's able to live through wiping out Svenhunterz's entire lineup, in 1 to 2 fights, they'll be caught up in terms of the ability to get net worth on this Void. His next item, the one downside is if he dies, he's going to be set quite a bit back from his next item, which will be Battle Fury. Which will be Butterfly. All the components of Butterfly are pretty expensive. There's a 900 component, but the other 2 components are 1800 and 3300. We're going to have a fight here. So they smoke up, they get that. Oh, that's unfortunate. But we do have the combo coming out, but we got the stun on the Enigma. We do have 1 down on Svenhunterz, but this is a very, very chaotic fight. This Faceless Void has been Shadow Demon disabled. He's probably going to die. Ooh, amazing Time Walk. Amazing Time Walk. Oh, no. He gets picked up by the Queen of Pain. The Luna manages to get a mega kill streak. Almost. So close to getting the combo that 3D Max needed, but they did not quite manage it. And I'll explain why. The Enigma does not have BKB yet, and he's not likely to get it soon. He had to be the mechanism carrier for his team, and he has this Blink Dagger, and he has a Soul Ring. All very smart things to pick up on Enigma. But what he doesn't have is Black King Bar. And he's making it. He's got this Ogre Club. On an Enigma, if you see Ogre Club, it is always for Black King Bar. Enigma does not have a Black Hole upgrade on Aghanim Scepter, so he doesn't make it. They managed to pick up Roche off that as well. So he's making a BKB, but because he doesn't have it, it's quite easy to kick him out of his black hole. I think what happened in that case was it was actually the Battery Assault from Clockwerk, which has a mini stun on each of the individual explosions that it does. It's not actually a real disable, like it doesn't shut someone down for more than like a quarter second each time, but it does a quarter second stun every 0.7 seconds. So in that case, it managed to just slightly pinch Enigma out of his black hole, preventing the combo of 3D Max from sort of ramping into the level that they needed it to be at. This is very bold by this Luna, but I mean, he does have another Aegis of the Immortal, so... So 3D Max were so close there, but not quite. And a huge factor was, you know how I said it was going to be hard for Svenhunterz to actually sheep? Oh, great hook by Clock, and he's right in there. This is why Clockwerk is such a fun hero to watch. Rubik actually doesn't manage to force that out, but he still goes down. So this time, look at the amount of shutting down that they're actually able to do this Faceless Void. That was actually incredible. I wasn't quite able to explain what actually happened, but what happened there was, so in the previous fight, he Chronospheres and is immediately sheeped. Immediately the Queen of Pain casts the Scythe of Vice on him. So before he didn't think he needed the Black King Bar because he had Chronosphere up, but he did need the Black King Bar, and he lost 3.5 seconds of damage under his Chronosphere because he didn't have Black King Bar activated. So in the next fight, when he cast Chronosphere again, he used the Black King Bar, but this time, Clockwerk's Battery Assault prevented him from actually going on the heroes that he needed to. So even though Clockwerk was in the Chronosphere, he was still able to disable the Void. And so I think despite the fact that the Clockwerk had a tough time early, this Clock pick was great. I think he did exactly what they needed to do, especially late. So these hooks were incredible, his initiation was good, he managed to shut down the Void in several situations, and I love the pick. I love Clockwerk, I think he's a great hero, I think he's underused. Rubik actually steals the Eclipse here, so he's able to pick off Queen of Pain finally, but I don't think that's quite enough. Was that Queen of Pain's first death? Yes, it was. That was literally the first time Queen of Pain died in this entire game, and it took a Rubik stealing a Luna ult to do it. So, commanding performance by Svenhunterz. I think we have to note, in the defense of 3D Max, it looks like they got stomped here, but really they didn't. Their plan was always, we need to get enough stability to be able to pull off our entire combo, and that never happened because Svenhunterz was able to effectively put them on the back foot with good mobile ganking from the Clockwerk, with amazing concerted effort to farm on the... This is just incredible. How much? 721 gold per minute on Luda. Craziness. Absolute insanity. But they managed to get enough ahead and actually press the advantage at the exact correct moments that 3D Max was really never able to actually do everything that they needed to do. Oh, right, and so the defensive play against the Void was that not only did Battery Assault slow him, they also managed to pop the Shadow Demon ultimate, the Demonic Purge, which I talked about as a potential Sven counter, onto him to slow him down. And when he finally reached a target to try to kill them, they used a defensive disruption from the Shadow Demon to CC their own hero to prevent Void from hitting him. So you have a slowed Void. He really wants to hit the person that's right in front of him. He wants to just hit that guy, and he can't because he's slowed and because that hero is disrupted. So great team fight play from Svenhunterz. You know, it had to feel... It always feels really scary going up against a team that has a comp like this, that has a team like Darkseer, Jakiro, Enigma, Faceless Void, because you're like, oh my god, if we screw up even a little bit, if we screw up even the tiniest of bits, we will get torn to pieces by this combo. So we have to be perfect on our game of disrupting the heroes. We always have to kill the Enigma early, or we always have to shut down the Faceless Void somehow. And in fight after fight, the Radiant in this game, Svenhunterz were able to do it. I don't know if this is their debut game. It's definitely one of the first games that they've had as a joined up team. So they used to be two different teams, FUBAR, who were pretty good, and Evo, who were pretty good, and now they're one team, which, you know, could very well be that next tier of team if they continue to be able to execute their game plan as well as they did in this game. I see that Luna actually picked up a Divine Rapier just to spend his money. This didn't really come into play. I think he picked it up while dead. But, you know, style points on the victory sheet. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. There might be more games today. There might not. A lot of teams sort of triple booked themselves today, so I've been having trouble figuring out when a team is playing an individual game. But I will cast something else if I can. So join us back soon.